Okay. Hey, this is the Spark of Madness live show. Hopefully it's live. I guess we'll see. It says, yep, it looks like it's going live. So cool. So this is, I'm Matt. That's Ben, who at the corner you may recognize from the other movie podcast.
The star.
The star. We have the glorious return of Nick from Soldier. That was actually live. Or not live, but recorded.
And Power Rangers.
Recorded live.
Yeah. And then the first video appearance of Jake.
Hello.
You've appeared on the two Be Creative, Being Genuine podcasts. So this is your first...
My first videotape one.
Yeah.
You gotta look good. A live studio audience.
That's right. They're just really quiet.
We turn the camera just a little.
Yeah, it's facing this way.
It's like a little stuffed animal.
There's a million people silently looking at us right now.
Yeah. It's quite unnerving.
They're
all
typing hate
into the comments.
Just to hate.
We should have a laugh track. That's the next time we should have a laugh track. That is so funny.
You should have done that.
That's so funny. We should do that.
Right. So yeah, I'm in control. Aaron is not here. So if there's any like flubs on the like transitioning end, it's because I'm new to this. But today we're going to talk about season 3 of Better Call Saul, leading right up to the finale. So the plan is we're going to talk about season 3 up to this point. And then during the episode, we're going to stay live, only we're going to turn off during the show. But then we're going to come back on during the commercial so you can see who's gone to the bathroom. But really, we're just going to give our like quick thoughts in between during the commercial break. And then at the end of the episode, we'll talk about kind of our thoughts about the finale based on everything we talked about. So you guys ready?
Ready to go?
All right, let's... That's pretty good. And we're back. So season 2 left off with Kim and Saul had just started. Not Saul. Kim and Jimmy had just started their own practice.
Yeah.
Wexler McGill. And in doing so, there was some shenanigans with Jimmy falsifying the records with the dates, or I guess it was an address, right?
Yep, an address.
To make Chuck look like an idiot. But Chuck caught on to him. And the episode ends basically with, the finale ends with Chuck having recorded his confession, basically.
Yes.
Also, there was that whole scene with the car with Mike going to kill Hector, and then the car alarm's going off, and it just says, don't. And that's also where that story ended.
It was his horn. There was a tree branch stuffed in it or something like that.
Yeah, on the passenger or in the driver's seat. And so, how did those storylines play out? Season 3.
Oh man, creatively,
it was good.
It was very good.
I think so. Jimmy's plot, I guess, for this whole season is sort of his. I guess season 2 is his rise to having his own firm, which is, he didn't get it with Hamlin HHM, and so he started his own practice. It's sort of starting off at a good point with his own budding seniors practice. What was that? Elder law. That's the name of it.
But he's doing well.
Yeah, so he's doing well, and then everything after that goes straight downhill, where he has the whole
downfall.
He freaks out and attacks Chuck, or like breaks the tape and then gets caught. And then everything from there, he loses his practice and has to like do community service.
It's bad for him.
But Chuck had to, he kind of got back with Chuck in that trial, in that hearing, where he planted the cell for the battery.
Well, yeah.
That
was the pinnacle of this plot line.
Right.
I mean,
but this is before community service.
Right,
So he got back out trying to prove that his illness, like just trying to make him look so bad. It's all psychological.
The big first part of the season was like the follow up to the recording.
Yeah,
kind of like
right up to the trial. The trial was sort of the like what episode was that? Like
6 or I don't know. 6.
I don't know. It wasn't super far in,
Right.
But
It was well done.
it leads to the next progression into him becoming Saul Goodman. Basically,
Yes.
it was
Yeah,
like that
it
was
does.
the necessary fall where he's not totally disconnected from law
Yes.
to then become the character we all recognize.
Yeah, he became Saul. He used a little bit of a dirty trick to get the end goal done, because if you picked up in Breaking Bad, Saul, he's a criminal lawyer, we know, but it's motivated, actually, ironically, from some sense of good. He does, you get the sense in the way that he talks about his clients that he is upset that the system preys on people who more frequently find themselves in situations of drug dealing and things like that. You get the sense that he's a man fighting the system. And you see that in this show in some of the, in the very beginning when they do the black and white scenes.
When
And
he's
with the kid.
like beyond and in this season start, each of them just start with his name's Gene, I guess. We're working at Cinnabon.
Yeah.
And this one was the one where the kid's the thief and he's running away, and you think he's like turned into some goody two shoes of he
did it.
rats him out like where he's hiding, but then he's like, get a lawyer, and so
get a lawyer, don't say anything. I'm telling you, he has always been and always will be motivated by some sense of good. It's just very corrupted.
Well, I thought it was interesting, like to Ben's point, leading up to the trial was sort of showing how similar he and his brother are.
Yes.
Of being
Dubious.
Yeah, but like just so I don't know, I feel like there's a theme both in Breaking Bad, not just with the Saul character, but also into this series where our leads are like so driven by, even if they have an attachment to their family or to like another person that they love, like everybody seems to have like a character that they love, but they're so driven by pride above everything else. And so, and they'll go to like elaborate steps to prove like that they're better than somebody else. So like you see Jimmy going out of his way to like prove he's smarter than, all these other lawyers. And then Chuck's also the same to like, I'm such the epitome of what law should be, so I'm gonna knock Jimmy down, and I'm gonna, because I'm better than him.
It's like
and
outsmarting the other guy.
Yeah, it's like an outsmarting practice.
I think with Jimmy though, he was absolutely more pure than Chuck, and actually is actually more of a decent person than Chuck, because he tried to, he just wanted to emulate his brother. He loved it. It's one of the acceptance from his brother. Everything he did up till the trial was just wanting to be accepted by his brother. His brother. But because his brother's a douchebag, you know what I mean? Like just ridiculous. Hates him so much that he's like.
Now here's the thing.
Hashtag fuck Chuck.
Fuck Chuck.
Yeah.
That's it. You just coined it.
Hashtag.
But what's his name? The actor who plays him is brilliant.
Yes. First of all, the actor who plays Chuck is absolutely brilliant.
So
Michael McKean.
Michael McKean.
He's brilliant.
So I'm gonna.
He's married to somebody, right?
I don't know. He did all of the like. Is it Christopher Guest? He did a bunch of those movies. So like this is sort of a different turn.
Yeah.
But I would say. I would kind of push back like that he hates his brother, but he hates him in like Jimmy hates his brother in a like looking up, like they have like this weird feud where they love each other so much, like because we spent 3 seasons almost of Jimmy defending his brother, even though he knows this illness is made up, but he's going to defend him to others. And then even Chuck like has sort of like in the moments where, remember when he was gonna, like before the trial episode, he wanted to hide, he was talking to the lawyer who's like, the lawyer was like, I'm not gonna hold back. But even then Chuck was like, well, don't go too far. I want the best solution for every, so there's like this weird, just like competitiveness.
Yeah.
Even when he's like, when we were kids, it was always Jimmy, and like, he was at his mom's bedside and, and she was asking for Jimmy. And so they have this weird rivalry.
Well, it's like Chuck is put in the work and it just kind of comes naturally to Jimmy, like the charisma. So he gets
the charisma side of it.
Yeah.
But so Jimmy put in the work too. I feel like that's why he has a resentment.
He did put in the work, but I feel like he didn't put in the work that Chuck put in. So like Chuck is resenting Jimmy because Chuck has hit the books harder than anybody else and he's the smartest guy in the room, but Jimmy's able to achieve great things with significantly less effort. And when you're putting in
Yeah.
all that work to be an expert in a field and somebody else is like doing a tenth of what you're doing, it's very frustrating.
Well, and he's using it. It's a tenth of. He's doing it like not the same work. It seems like he's cheating. Like he's like by conning people, it's dishonest.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Now I think we're glossing over though. I think the foundation of this entire feud comes from how they both approached what happened to their parents.
Yep.
Which is they work
and they do I think they do a flashback in this season, right?
Yeah.
When they show, or maybe it was last season.
Might have been
I
last
think
season.
it was this
The
season.
dad gave like the guy cigarettes or whatever.
Cigarettes and
That one too.
we get several looks at that, right? Through the seasons, we get several looks at that. That is the most formative thing on this relationship because one of them, Chuck, looks at that and says, look how pure and kind and hardworking they are. And I'm going to emulate that and work hard and be diligent and get past it. Jimmy looked at it in the way that actually I think is more relatable that more people would look at it. They are working themselves to death. And for what? The system is failing them.
Yeah.
And they die penniless,
It's almost rigged against you, so you should try and use whatever means necessary to like survive and like get ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. And you could see that in Jimmy. He only conned what he felt like he was conning people. Deserved it's a bad word for the regular, but deserved it. He has to find. He's got a moral
Robin
code.
Hood.
Yeah, he's like pirates and stuff. Bad things, but they have a code.
He's like the Hound from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, he's got a code. Yeah,
he's got a code, but he's a decent human being, even though he's murdered people. And
I know it's crazy.
Jimmy hasn't murdered people,
but
that
even,
I know of.
Not yet. But even when they're like good or bad, it seems like these characters, because of their sort of, I don't know, hubris, like what's holding them back? It seems like nobody ever ends up winning. In this case, it's in Breaking Bad. It's a story about Walter White, and he himself turns into he overcomes this evolution into like a bad person, but also everyone around him is destroyed too. And the same thing is kind of happening, especially this season with Jimmy, where his brother is falling. His life is ruined now, and Kim is struggling, as we'll talk about, I'm sure, the last episode.
Yes,
and we'll talk about Mike separately. He's not struggling, but
Mike's
but it becomes sort of like a vortex of like shit that just
true.
overcomes people.
it's like Darth Vader,
The Force.
the fall to the dark side.
Yeah, everything around you will crumble.
Yeah. It's like Godfather, which we were watching earlier.
Yeah.
Especially like Godfather Part 2, Godfather Part 3. His daughter gets killed.
Yeah.
Sofia Coppola.
Yeah.
Who becomes a famous director later on, anyway.
So
Sofia Coppola is the baby in the Godfather Part 1.
Did not know
the baptism.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Really has a lot to do. Has a lot to do for Better Call Saul.
It does. She's going to be in the finale, I think, as a baby.
0.05% of AMC.
Probably.
Well, so let's just complete sort of the thread of so Jimmy, he loses his license after the courtroom scene, but he
suspended for a year.
just suspended, and he's not like going to jail or anything. And so he does community service. He adopts because he can't make money in other ways, so he becomes the Saul Goodman role. I'm going to actually play his first commercial because I think it's funny.
Please play.
This is Saul's first commercial. I'm going to play it all the way through.
What's that I see? Albuquerque's next TV star? It's you, small business owner. Struggling to make it in today's fast-paced economy? Thought television advertising was too expensive for you? Well, you better think again. You can't afford not to be on TV. Look at you. You're a triple threat. Great services, great products, and most of all, that face. You're a star. Wrap it all up in your natural charisma and bam, you belong on TV. Better watch out for autograph hounds and paparazzi. And it gets better. I can have you on the air tomorrow. You heard me right. Tomorrow. Better get ready to be famous, Albuquerque. I can make you a TV star for a price you can afford. Call me, Saul Goodman. The world needs to know about you and your business. Call me now.
The guy at the station said he's never seen so many star wipes in a row. It's never been done.
Saul Goodman.
Yeah, it's like, it's all good, man.
That guy has a lot of energy.
Pretty good, right? I wanted to come up with star wipes within the system, but it didn't let me.
You need more star wipes. Everyone does.
Well, so he had like a glorious introduction, and then everything for Saul Goodman after that point kind of sucked. So he's struggling, so he kind of resorts to conning people still with the old lady in the last with Irene, which you were okay with his whole conning of Irene, but that was painful.
Boris Jigsaw came with an actual real purge. Like we had a real purge. So
we had the old people somehow.
We had a literal purge. Jake would be okay.
Purge going on. He would kill me.
Listen, let me explain that for a second. Not the purge part, the being okay with it. It's not that I was okay with it. It definitely sucks. It's definitely his low point. He has definitely given up some of his morals. I saw all of that. It was more digestible for me than what I read most people's reaction was, because in my opinion, it was such a temporary pain he was putting on this woman. Once she cast out, everything went back to normal. It wasn't like ruining her life. And it was more digestible. Like I'm saying, that's the word I want to use. I could swallow that hardship more because I knew it was going to go back to normal.
Well, and I also think this show, Breaking Bad, and shows, like Mad Men and in this time where your main heroes are not great people. Yeah. They're but you still kind of end up rooting for them because of you want them to succeed,
right?
Even if it's like a horrible task.
Well, and because we've seen so much bad stuff happen to him, we're like, okay,
and you want him to you want him to have a win. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you want him to have a win. And
I've kind of stopped rooting for him. Mm-hmm. Like I root for Nacho and I root for Kim, but
I still root for Jimmy.
Nacho's brutal.
I do a little.
Nacho's brutal. He beat the shit out of that guy.
So who was the guy from episode 1 of Breaking Bad who got tied up?
He begrudgingly beat the shit out of him.
Yeah,
true, but he did begrudgingly.
Is that the guy who got turned into liquid?
Yeah.
Okay, first
But Nacho he kind of has an interesting arc of, we see this sort of rise of Hector being Hector Salamanca.
But he's so good. They make Hector so good.
Yeah, he's so menacing. Yeah. Well, I mean, they make him so menacing, but
he's the best.
Nacho's just kind of going along with it until his dad's roped in, and then he's like, all right, we got to end this. Yeah. And that pill scene,
that was intense.
And you see all this nervous, and he's got to do make sure every little pill gets in.
Well, what's great about that scene is great. This is why this is great directing, great cinematography, and pacing and storytelling. They take up beforehand him practicing, and he practices on the jacket. Every time we see it, he never.
You can see that it's hard.
He never makes it.
The stress.
He never makes it, and then everything can go wrong. Like it was in the other side of the pocket. It's all these different things, and we don't know if he's going to make it or not. It gives you that disbelief: is he going to make it or not? Because they said that he never did make it.
Okay, so this is where Vince Gilligan, boss, he has taken television to the next level, because what he did there, I'm going to explain what he could have done. And that's what every freaking 2010 plus action movie does ever. This is how that sequence would have gone for any lesser director. Mm-hmm. He would have practiced, he would have missed 1 or 2 times, some more upbeat music would have started playing, and he would have nailed it on the final take, and then they'd cut, and we'd be like, yep, he's got it. He figured it out.
He would have had a montage like Michael Scott mopping the ice.
Yeah.
I disagree. I don't think any director would do that. I actually think they would try to make it intense and scary at the same time. If he would have made it, if the show had made it, they would have done the opposite and should have missed it. That's what I think. I think any decent director would have done.
I feel like the positive thing there is kind of the ambiguity, because we don't know specifically what happens. Like if you watch Breaking Bad, you don't know specifically what happens to Nacho, so he could fuck it up, and
we still don't know if the pills are even doing anything yet. Right, we had that fake out in the last episode where you think he's choking and going to die, but then he doesn't, so we don't even know.
And it could be a grand fake out. Like maybe this is what makes Hector be in his wheelchair and click his bell or whatever, but maybe not. This could just be a complete sidestep that means very little into Hector's story. But
so I would say 2 things about that scene and Vince Gilligan in general. For one, I don't think any other director would think about using the solution as swap the pills.
Yep.
And to make it a covert thing. I think in this situation they would have just had him murder him in cold blood or like shoot him or do something different.
Yeah.
Like they wouldn't have even thought to do something so secret and so like minor like that, to like get a pill on the ground and then swap the pill in the capsules.
That's also the screenwriters too.
Right. Yeah, no, that's true. It's just the whole show. But like,
do you like the fact that Mike's kind of like Nacho's like mentor in like?
Yeah, they did a great job.
Yeah.
And like, I've got an opinion. I've got a really interesting. We'll see what you guys think. Yeah. But I think what makes Vince Gilligan so great is that in all these scenes, in Breaking Bad and in this show, they show like all of the little details that go into either the scheme or just like even in the last episode we just started on TV, for episode 9, Jimmy's in his car and we just see him like putting he pulls out this little plastic thing of store-bought cookies. He's putting them on the plate and then he sees one and the ears crumbled, so he puts that back because that's not good enough, and he puts in another one, and that's all as part of this presentation with he puts aluminum foil on. And like with the scene with Nacho, he shows him having to swap the pill box, get it out of his pocket, which he's already practiced and swap pills, funnel them back and forth. It's a long scene,
very long scene.
And then it goes into slow mo when he's like all of that's in real time. Then it goes slow mo when he jumps it in.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of like, I don't think any other director would take the time.
Right.
I guess from a writing standpoint, he's allowing people to write that entire sequence so you get the full breadth of what it involves. But then from a directing standpoint, he takes the time to get all of the angles and shots, so you're like overly informed about everything that's going into it. I think that's what's
that
so
episode.
I could tell you actually.
I don't know which ones he directed.
He did not. It was Minky Spiro.
Oh.
Well, he's definitely set the stage, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's the general tone of the show.
It's all his.
So.
And I agree. The biggest piece that he brought to it is taking the time to do it right, really, to do it right in a way that feels like no one else would give it the breadth that it needs. Mm-hmm. And I hear a lot of people, not a lot of people, sorry. When I was more in an academic setting and I'd take a film class back in college or something like that, and you get real academic opinions on something, a big thing they'll call out is that American cinema's theoretically going downhill because of too many jump cuts, not letting scenes establish themselves, which is something that European cinema's held on to for a really long time. And so there's a want for that. And Vince is the perfect meld, I think, because he's got an American style. He's definitely got an American style that's in your face, but he has said it was beautiful when film used to let a scene sit and dwell with you and give all the pieces. And he's still doing that. So,
well, he's done a good job kind of bookending some of these episodes with and even before, but like this season had a couple with the shoe on the telephone wire that Mike uses to put the cocaine in, and then he shoots it. But he also sets it up so that he's shooting in the air, so they get accustomed to the bullet sounds, and it like leads all the way up to the end of the episode. But it's kind of split up. And then in the last episode with Kim, they get that fake out with the car of her like trying to catch up to it as it's driving away and she gets in, but then it kind of comes back at the end with her with a perfectly earned jump cut to like a scare out, which was awesome. I thought that was really good.
It felt like he fell asleep at the wheel.
That's exactly what it felt like.
Did you guys not see that coming?
I mean, I saw it coming, but I thought he'd do it differently where we'd watch her actually
They did like the same cut earlier when she fell asleep in her car like a few episodes ago.
Oh, they did? So he's been teasing it?
Kinda.
Oh.
Like there's an episode where
you're right, she did.
That's right. Yeah. They like
they've been setting it up.
They set it up.
Well, I'm gonna play it because I think it's so good.
We believe this offer is more than fair.
It's pretty good.
It's amazing.
I didn't know that they had teased it out. I guess I just thought it was so good because I think Kim is one of the most. I don't know. I thought she had a really interesting season of like building up this like I feel overworked and but also like kind of wanting to take on everything for herself.
Yep.
I thought it was great.
It almost like I feel like she's taking it on for herself, but also for Jimmy, because it's like she knows like how's he going to make his half of the
she's really so worried about him.
It's for herself, but also it's like to cover his shit also.
Can we just say Kim Wexler is too pure for this world, and he's going to harm her. Hopefully, this is the extent of the harm that's done, but Vince has things in store for her, and it makes me sad to even think that people who are pure can't exist in this world.
I just don't want to only praise the show though. Like the entire season struggled with like Jimmy and Kim's relationship. I don't know. I just like you didn't feel it like as much. Like there was like a scene earlier in the season where they like shared a toothbrush or something like that. But like honestly, like I felt like there could have been a little more there.
You think like a romantic relationship? Or
yeah,
what?
like I lost some of the buy-in on their romantic relationship, and I guess that's probably what they're trying for.
Yeah. I don't think I think Vince is perfect at executing on what he wants to do. But you're right that sometimes what he wants to do might not be.
I guess I just don't know.
Thing.
I guess I just don't know that I ever completely bought it.
Yeah,
and maybe that's just.
I bought it for a little bit when they were conning together.
Yeah, that was probably the best.
They shared them bonding, but you're right. They really abandoned the concept of them being romantically involved,
which I guess makes sense because they kind of splintered the storylines because they're heading in different directions.
They are, and she doesn't. We know already that she does not abide by the same code that Jimmy abides by.
Well, she likes to like. They did that kind of cool scene that had a dual purpose, I think, where Jimmy they're back in the restaurant trying to pick up marks for who to con, and he's hit he's in the gutter at this point, and so he's like taking it really personally, but she's thinking about it from like a fantasy, just like that'd be fun to think about, whereas he's like taking it seriously, like this could be our life.
The writing there, the screenwriting there was phenomenal because the way that he did that, where he just slowly, he didn't even realize he was starting to take it seriously until he started spilling more details and more details. And then he started being like, and then, like, we're going to grab the credit and we're going to...
And he hates people, and he's like, he has like sort of a self-esteem with the guy he's projecting onto. Like he's assuming this persona of this guy who thinks he's so much better than everybody else and like versus him, and he wants to take advantage of him.
Exactly.
He's like, he's going to try and take you away from me and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Ben, what was your favorite part so far this season?
I like I did like the shoe. That was this season, the shoe.
The shoes on the water.
I just like the way that scene was constructed. It was visually well done. You didn't have to, and you probably already mentioned this. There's no exposition.
Nope.
You got it.
Yeah.
It was really well, like, okay, what you doing? I was confused what he was doing, and I got it immediately how they did it.
That's you.
Yeah, just a slight little thing. It was clear enough for the audience, but you don't need to spell it out.
Right.
For them.
He does.
When you spell it out, that's when it's like bad.
Yeah, he steps you through everything.
Right. It's baby bears, I call it. Just
right.
I was confused. Even
I
saw the powder fall from the shoes, and I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Right. Yeah.
Like the entire time.
Yeah. What was he doing? But
and like that's
really
so rare. Like normally in like shows, like 5 steps ahead, you're like, "Oh, this is where it's going."
But it wasn't like
the whole time
shoot this
he's shooting in the air.
Like,
okay, hunters. Like, but still, what's he doing?
Yeah. So that he gets away with the shoot. That particular scene.
And then it's just like Mike is the smartest person in the world.
Oh, I know, he's brilliant.
So, do you guys want to hear my theory?
All right, go in on Mike.
So, Vince motherfucking Gilligan.
Vince motherfucking Gilligan.
I think is Mike.
Explain yourself.
Well, don't you see they're like a mirror image visually of each other? They're the same person.
Great makeup.
Vince is no, but I really think that Mike is sort of like Vince's the director, or in this case the showrunner, and ultimately he becomes sort of like an embodiment of everybody who's writing and directing the show, but he's sort of like the surrogate for the show as like a macro level, but like as a person within the story.
Right.
And I think it's for two reasons. One sort of gets at what we're talking about in that he's so detail oriented and so cautious and methodical, and like those are sort of the highlights of the whole show, and a lot of people exhibit that, but like I don't think to the same extent Mike does. And they even show Mike in ways that are like, you know, he's scouting out locations ahead of time.
Yeah.
He's scouting out people so he knows exactly how they'll behave in certain situations. He's not going to like blow his load over or like freak out and be so volatile as anybody else. He's he's going to be level-headed. And I think those kind of qualities kind of like, if I was a director, I'm going to think about, okay, let's go to this spot so we can see what this is going to be like. Let's see who the players are in this environment. And so I can see a lot of the like the deliberate like planning and scheming sort of that's represented across everything, but like at the level-headedness that Mike has. I see that as sort of like a representation of like what Vince Gilligan brings.
I think you're Mike.
I'm Mike. I'm Mike.
We're all Mike.
I'm Ermintrout.
But now that's a really solid.
The other part, part two, that we haven't really talked about, and I know Vince Gilligan's talked about how like, you know, the shows are like showing characters who become bad people, and there needs to be like karmic retribution on people like that. And so like you see them becoming worse and worse people, but like there's also elements that happen to them to like punish them. Like there's a sense of justice, like worldly justice. But and I think that like what makes this show so interesting is that all the characters, you know, in some cases, and this isn't an original thought, like I just read the chapter Chuck Klosterman wrote about why he thinks Breaking Bad's the best show. That's because everybody, there may be like moral relativism in this world, but everybody like actively chooses to be a bad person, even when they know like all of the factors and like, okay, this decision will make me worse. I'm still going to choose to be that kind of person. And everybody's kind of driven by these like pride. We talked about pride and all these like power and money, or, you know, all these other things. Really, whereas Mike is sort of the only. What makes other shows interesting is that, or what makes other shows boring is that all the characters are static. Like they kind of revert back to, like, they never fluctuate too far. And so if any character acts out of the normal or changes dramatically, like it's weird. Like you don't like it. Whereas his shows are all about characters that are constantly changing and constantly becoming worse. And what makes Mike so interesting is that he's the only one that never changes ever. And so if I was like
constant,
but he doesn't dab too deep, but he gets it, you know, and like he gets in too deep too. So there's retribution for what he did.
Right. No, he gets punished too.
We know the story. He does.
But he's the only one that, well, again, to your point, he, just like everyone else, knows this will happen and then chooses it anyways. But he's the only one where you can see the justification for it being really pure. He says, I will sacrifice myself. He knows he will go down for this. He probably doesn't imagine how.
He doesn't
imagine how, but he's like, I will sacrifice myself. That's why you see him asking all those questions when he sets up with Madrigal. He's like, okay, I can see how this could turn really bad for me. But let me do it because of the money.
He does it selflessly.
And I think a lot of the characters have that sort of some element of selflessness, but he has it within like the realm of, okay, what, like his mindset is principled not because of like he wants pride, power, you know, self, any of those, and he's also not functioning within a system of the legal system. Or like within the DEA, within like these established structures of like rules. He's established his own sense of right and wrong. What is an eye for an eye? And if something tips a balance, then he needs to tip it back. Like he
spends a lot of effort.
And so he like flipped. And so he weighs everything in his head. Like, nope, that's too much. Or like, what's the point of doing that? It has to be for a real reason.
You felt real good to get in that truck and that delivery driver getting executed.
And I think all of that sort of represents sort of what if like I was sort of puppeteering all these characters, like what what his role is within the show is sort of like him at a macro, like what the show is at a macro level of like, here are all these bad people, I gotta even it out. Like this person did something that was outside the realms of what I think is good or bad, and I'm gonna punish them at a high level.
So why like however many years later is Mike working for Gus still? Like, okay, right now he's set up. I'm filtering my $200,000 through Magical. Yeah. Once I'm done, I should be done. Why is he still working for Gus?
I'm guessing that'll come up. But like he even in Breaking Bad, he wants a better future for his granddaughter. Right. So he's kind of tied to that.
$200,000 is in a better future.
But also,
I guess he could become corrupted.
I feel like honestly, like the questioning at Madrigal, like he signed those papers faster than I'd expect Mike. We got earlier in the season a couple minute montage of him taking a car apart, but then we got 30 seconds and he's signing papers at Madrigal.
I don't know if I would say it was comparatively 30 seconds. He was pushing back quite a bit.
He pushed back like 3 times.
Right, but more than anyone else in that situation, you're already set up with a bunch of really bad people in a bad situation.
You know, as scary as Gus is, and as scary,
we haven't even talked about Gus.
Yeah, but scary. I'm talking about the relationship with him and Mike. The scary as Gus is, even in Breaking Bad, especially the backstory,
is respected.
Well, Gus is not 100% bad guy.
Yeah.
Like no one's really 100% bad except for Salamanca.
Yeah.
And you still root for him to get Gus at one point, but that's how fucked up this whole universe is.
You root for,
but it's like Sweeney Todd. There's no really hero.
Yeah.
But he senses a sense of honor in Gus. Mm-hmm. Because Gus still cares about his employees.
Yes,
he doesn't
there's
want
honor in it. Honor, that's the better word. Yeah.
They're very similar characters, and I think that's probably why he ends up working for Gus.
What? That's a really good point, because this whole time, we all know through Breaking Bad, like, what Gus's motivation is. Mm-hmm. It's revenge for his brother. You know, like, it's...
Well, the scene when Salamanca comes into the chicken place, and how upset he got because he did not want these employees. Like he really did honestly care about these employees.
Take the day off, you'll all be paid.
He was really mad about it because
did he? Huh?
Yeah,
did he
care about them?
Like he really cares about them?
I
think so.
Like
I get that vibe from him.
I mean, I think it's slightly ambiguous. I don't know.
I think by showing how careful he is with the restaurant itself and how he wants a pristine restaurant that's dirty and good for the customers, and he's not during business hour, like he's actually running a restaurant.
Right.
I think that sort of is like a reflection too on that he cares about.
It's his duality.
Yeah, I think.
So I think this whole Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad is all about duality. Mm-hmm. Everybody has kind of this dual different personalities that fight the good and evil versus each other.
Like, with all,
stupid Skylar, who I hated.
With all the characters, you're forced. With all the characters, you're foist. You're forced to look like at the good and the bad. Like Mike murdered those 2 cops, and you know, he's done other bad shit that are kind of highly questionable. But you just assume because they murdered his boy or whatever, like. You don't know that full backstory, and you're assuming based.
Everybody has a
You're so skeptical.
You are
of within the show, like that. That's what their motivations are, which is I'm sure what they're setting it up. You know, like you never know somebody's
even the character that you think is 100% good, like something kept him under Gus's wing for all this time.
It's true.
There's a specific amount of money, and if Gus is actually a good guy, like a reasonable businessman, then he would have let Mike go. Right. So why is Mike? Maybe he wants to make millions and millions of dollars, but at some point he has enough money to take care of Kaylee and get her everything she needs.
That is
so
true.
Why does he keep going with Gus? Why doesn't Gus let him go, whichever is the case?
Well, and I get all that, but when it comes to Mike, though, so far, I think we can be assured that. Because yes, you're right. No character is written to be perfect in the show or good. You know, like his bad part and the guilt he carries with him is that he was bad. That's what made his son get in trouble. he was accepting dirty money. Like that was
true.
And he knows that and carries it with him.
So I guess
that was his bad side. But like now it's that guilt drove him to do all this good or vigilante good.
So I would guess it's my guess would be that will be something that is revealed, but I would think that it's both from a standpoint of wanting to help his granddaughter with this money, and maybe, who knows, maybe something happens where he loses a bunch of money.
That's true.
But like I would say he's beholden to Gus out of like he has a debt. Like, I don't know, at some point Gus does something so spectacular for him that he owes him for a long time.
Yeah,
that seems within character to me.
That does.
I think so too, but also it could be the whole once you're in, you can't get out.
Yeah,
thing.
that could be that too.
Like The Godfather.
Just when they don't. They pulled it back in.
You get
Sopranos reference too as well. Now at this point,
you can't ever get out.
I mean, Vince and Peter Gold are like really good about making you really like and care about a character, and then like, oh shit, they did that, and so like I feel like at some point we're gonna like Mike might get there. Like I feel like he's gonna have some sort of arc.
Yeah.
Like he's done bad things already, but just because we feel like he's justified in doing those bad things, we still love him, and he's still like somebody that we root for.
I think he's definitely justified in killing his cops.
Yeah,
But
I forgot about
killing them, or like what?
That was eons ago.
No, Nick, I agree. There's an absolute potential for that, but I think actually Matt's theory leaves room for it to go one or two ways. And what you were getting at, Matt, with him being Vince and all that. He's so archetypal; it becomes almost mythical. And I love that you brought up him judging and weighing.
Well, he seems sort of like if I was growing up and I wanted to become this is not a sci-fi.
Yeah.
So you instinctively, if like growing up, if I was Vince, I'd be watching like film noir movies or like, and the badasses are these like rugged cops who
don't necessarily play by the rules.
Yeah, they play by their own rules and they have their own and so. Yeah, that it kind of fits that mold to me. Yeah. But like that person also, I guess in his case, like he took dirty money and then he became a better person.
Yeah.
But like for our stance, he's kind of locked in as this guy.
Yeah. But right now he's taking dirty money again and filtering it through.
But like he didn't take a bribe.
Right.
It was like Robin Hoodish.
Yeah,
like I am gonna steal from bad guys, I guess. Yeah.
Can I let you guys in on a clue?
What?
The majority of the money you handle is dirty.
Can you all those germs?
Yeah. But I mean, like
cocaine.
Somebody said earlier, he's doing it all for Kaylee or whatever.
Yeah.
Like he's a smart enough guy to know that getting in bed with Gus Fring is probably not good for his niece. That's worse than working in a toll booth.
Yeah, but I think the way he sees how Gus handles things,
that's true.
He's more comfortable.
Than
Salamanca,
and he sees how careful Gus is too.
And that's really the relatability. They're kind of kindred spirits.
Mm-hmm. He sees that, and get this, you got to remember, he's doing it for Kaylee, but we also see that it's not just Kaylee.
Yeah,
he has his own personal motivations, right, and his daughter-in-law. So there's a web of motivations, including his own, and I think being with Gus still takes care of all of them by giving him the money to take care of the family and the retribution. He's still pissed at what Salamanca's done.
That's what I'm. It's like he's driven by this sense of like, I gotta get even here.
What's his daughter-in-law's name again?
Oh, I can't remember.
I don't remember either.
Yeah.
Isn't she annoying?
She's a minor
I
character.
don't like her really.
She's causing all the problems. Gunshots.
Yeah.
Just chill.
Which she lied about.
She lied
about the gun.
Well, she had nightmares. Couldn't you possibly heard a nightmare? Like, what?
Yeah.
She's like, leave the old man alone. Where do you think he's getting this money?
Any other stray thoughts up to this point?
No.
I just worry about
Kim.
I worry about Kim a lot. I don't think this is the end of her.
So you guys mentioned that I personally didn't interpret these scenes as, especially in the last episode, that she cared so much about Jimmy and his financial burden. Because the scene where she was like, there's the new client, right? In season 8, and she decides to take it on.
Yeah.
I got the impression that she was going to pass it off to him and let him have it.
Yeah.
And like, here is a client for you. Go do this. But then I guess he couldn't take it, right?
No,
Maybe he couldn't have.
Not legally, yeah.
So, okay, so my point maybe.
Yeah.
But I interpret it as I'm going to just keep taking on because I need to take on work and that's who I am and I'm the super lawyer woman.
The super lawyer woman.
Yeah.
I think it's a little... Something happened when Jimmy kind of let on, hey, I just pulled off something, but I'm not going to tell you what it was and here's your money, right? That's when she got disillusioned by something, and that's when she took on the client. Do you remember? That's exactly how it played out. Part of it's emotional there. Like, she knew she couldn't handle this other client, but it's almost this like masochistic tendency because she's upset. She was very emotionally upset in that moment because she knew Jimmy conned somebody to get that money. It was the guitar.
Right.
Yeah.
So she needs to prove. Yeah.
So she's just like, fine, I'll go bury my head in this. It's kind of an ostrich syndrome. Like, I'm just going to bury my head in the sand and not pay attention to Jimmy, who's doing all this bad shit that she doesn't want to know about.
Yeah, she just wants to ignore what Jimmy's doing.
Yeah.
All right, let's watch the trailer for the finale, and then let's get our thoughts because it's going to start soon.
Okay, deal.
Here we go.
On the next episode of AMC's Better Call Saul.
I'm willing to let bygones be bygones. And if you agree, I think we can settle all this right now with a simple handshake.
Where's Bobby? If I had to do it all over again, I would do some things differently.
For more Better Call Saul, go to AMC.com.
All right, there's a lot in there, actually.
A lot in there.
We see Jimmy having some regrets about stuff he's done.
Yep.
I guess there was a shot of Kim in the hospital.
Either positively or negatively.
Right.
He sounded kind of nefarious when he said that.
Hector you kind of get the sense that Nacho might ambush him.
Yep, he's really confused in that scene. Yeah.
And then possibly some sort of resolution to Chuck with HHM.
Well, I like that stuff going down in HHM. Like, now they're against each other.
Yeah.
You know, it's another thing we didn't talk about real quick.
Pretty boy.
When Jimmy exposed his brother in that way, it's actually had a positive effect on his brother to realize it put that stigma in his mind that maybe this is I can overcome it. So in an indirect way, it's making him a better.
Ben, that's a great point. We did not bring that up.
No.
He's healing his brother through that. He knew this whole time and he was upset about it. He knew it was fake.
And you can see his brother getting stronger.
Right. And his brother is healing.
He ripped the Band-Aid off.
Yeah. He forced the hand. So in an indirect way, it's actually a good thing for Chuck.
So where do you guys think? What do you think is going to be? What do you think will happen in this episode, or what are you hoping will be resolved in some like?
Yeah.
What are your hopes for this?
Well, I hope to see. First of all, I hope to see a cameo.
Yeah.
With Walter White. That's all. That's
lofty.
That's lofty.
I feel like we would have heard about that.
I would have heard about some blue.
Yeah. I would say. Here's the thing. I will say that there's at least potential just to keep your wishes alive. There's at least potential for a Breaking Bad character cameo from another area of the show, but it wouldn't be.
Walter White will be the last episode.
Yeah. Walter White won't be.
He'll be a cameo at some point.
Yeah. But yeah.
I don't know. I think the biggest expectation I could see is, and it's kind of reaffirmed with that clip, is Jimmy and his, because I don't know where Chuck's character is going.
I don't even
really. So it feels very ambiguous, and I wrote down initially that I thought he was going to die, but I just as sort of like a foreshadowing from the last episode, like that was a fake out, like, oh, she didn't die,
right?
To get your guard down, and then something terrible is going to happen in this episode. But I don't even think that's going to happen.
I think Chuck's going to.
I think they'll reconcile, and then it'll be but I think they'll try, but it'll be impossible.
I think Chuck will sue the firm. I think their relationship is going to be 100% straight.
I think Sandpiper Crossing is going to settle. Jimmy's going to get fucked out of his money. Hamlin McGill's going to have the money to buy Chuck out. Chuck's going to be fucked for I guess he'd have a lot of money. But Jimmy's going to get nothing.
From his personal standpoint, he will feel.
But from Chuck's standpoint, he's going to feel fucked. Jimmy's going to get nothing. Kim's going to leave him at this point.
Yeah, I do see Kim leaving. I see that happening.
And we'll witness the fall of Francesca, which is something
the rise of the Francesca Empire. Well, I could see. I actually think the opposite of Kim. I think we're going to get a glimpse back at, and this is why I thought Jimmy would try and reconcile with his brother potentially. But I also think he is going to feel responsible for what happened to Kim.
Yes.
And while she's in the hospital, he's going to try and save her client, this new client, through like nefarious ways or something, and it'll succeed. But like everything else will fall apart.
Yes.
Or, I don't know. That's sort of my prediction. But
that's a good idea.
Yeah, there's that possibility for sure. I see Kim,
or he fucks it
not
up.
exiting the show, but like Kim, it will start her distancing of everything because you already heard like you could just sense this. I need to take a break for a while. I think she said that in the trailer. Just this.
Yeah.
Okay, that was it. That was the limit. This is the wake up call. So they're doing that. Whether it's to break her and Jimmy up, I don't know the direction yet, but they're getting Kim kind of out a little bit.
Or she's going to plead with him, don't do anything.
Yeah,
he can't legally, and he's going to do it because he feels like he has to help her, and it's going to fuck her and him in the long run.
I think they need to do a little bit to get Saul off the ground a little bit more, and do a little bit to push that persona ahead of his legal way. So maybe he's able to, even if he can't offer legal advice, he can do something with the Saul kind of direction to,
maybe he can,
because I feel like that's something they've kind of let sitting there.
Underneath. You're right. The Saul thing's going to probably get stronger. Well, we all know that something big is happening between Nacho and Hector. That's something that's going to go down. We're going to see something go down.
The salsa's going to go down.
Who's going to win? Who's going to lose?
I would think Nacho is the one to fall.
Yeah,
in this case, because I don't think Hector as a villain and as a competition to
Gus.
To Gus, you can't really. It doesn't work yet, I don't think.
No.
What's going on with Mike? What's happening with Mike at the?
Mike and Gus shook hands to team up 2 episodes ago, and
he got employed with Madrigal. So you
know
what? This episode I think has room with Mike to not really resolve something, but rather kick off his big new project for the next season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's going to undertake something big for Gus, maybe related to the lab, right?
Yeah, and Gail maybe.
Yep,
maybe Gail's our cameo.
Yep.
Maybe.
And so something big. I think this is where they start a new plot line for Mike in this episode, and then we get sort of a cliffhanger on that.
I think that and I think his big, if he's teaming up from a money standpoint and he's like doing a service, like he needs a stake in the game. Like he needs to scratch the game. So I could see Hector doing something terrible to him and his family or something, or make like a serious threat or something.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. His dad's on the firing line right now.
Yeah.
So.
Who's on the fire?
Nacho's dead.
That was good.
Nacho's dead. That's right.
That was a really emotional scene at the end
with
of
the father.
That was a good scene.
That was good.
By the way, I love the use of Spanish in this. I love it. I love when they.
I know. I hate reading. I'm just kidding.
No, I think it's done perfectly. Unlike when in real life it would be spoken one language versus the other, because it's a blending.
All right. It's time.
Yeah.
Finale starting. All right. We'll be back at the next commercial, so keep us going. Okay.
And we're back.
And we're back really quickly. Quick apologies because apparently we were on private instead of public, but we should be good now. So if you're watching,
You don't want to see what we were doing.
you have to listen to all of our predictions and stuff up to this point.
That's true.
But that was an interesting first scene right there.
very
An interesting cut right after to
Yes.
just start. This is how we're starting the episode.
Yep.
What were you saying about how they talk to each other?
Yeah, so I think that was great casting, like Ben said, because the voice, the tone of voice, and there's like a style to it that Chuck uses. That's almost condescending. Jimmy tries to ask a question. Are they going to be okay? Jimmy, just listen, Jimmy. Like that's exactly how he talks to him now that they're older. I find that
I liked the callback or whatever to the lantern and the hiss of the lantern. That's going to come back in this episode, I think.
It's a good audio kind of callback. Yeah, you're right. To connect you to.
Even the sound editing, it was soft and like that.
When it has sort of like a impending danger to it, like sound, the way they amplified it, going right into the logo. So
that's a complex shot.
Chuck's going to get burned to death.
It was a one shot, all from far back. Past the bicycle.
I wonder if it was strung together. I don't know if it was one because like it was
one.
And it reminded me
inside. It was beautifully lit. It's like how did they do that?
And it reminded me of the Kettlemans.
The Kettlemans.
Yeah.
That's right. With the tents, all the money, the stupid Kettlemans.
Can we just throw back to how that first season was amazing? Like seriously, the concept of them as the first client just.
You know what? I want a tent jacket. That's what I want.
That's interesting marketing right after the scene.
A tent jacket. That's perfect.
Microsoft into the tent jacket.
It's for the homeless.
It is.
Oh God, they're making the next Planet of the
Oh, it's gonna be good. Matt, I'm trying to push him for a pod on that.
Yeah, we're gonna end up doing this for a podcast.
Yeah, it's gonna be good, Matt.
Wait, was that Woody Harrelson?
Yes, it was.
They went there and they done that.
This is actually a preview for the next season of Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
Things went horribly wrong.
No.
Flash forward after the
it's the
Cinnabon.
What's that girl?
It's the sequel. It's the spin-off of Walking Dead, The Walking Apes.
My God.
That'd be funny. All right, we're gonna cut back because I think it's gonna go back.
Yep,
we'll be
coming
back.
up. Let's do it.
And we're back.
And we're back.
I'm gonna fix things. Okay.
I'm gonna fix things. I mean, those are his famous last words always.
That's his catchphrase.
Catchphrase. I'm gonna fix it.
It's gonna say he played the Godfather music there. You know.
Well, we got to see Jimmy as soft, nice guy.
Yep. He's
like
back.
Caretaker Jimmy.
They all got a wake up, or well, not all. The two
genuinely
main
cares
characters.
for her.
Yeah, Kim and Jimmy got a wake up call. You know, she got the wake up call working too much, and he got the wake up call if he had started to let what was important to him fall to the wayside.
But we did see him kind of confronting her about he kind of put it out there. I only care about you. I don't care about the opposite, all this other stuff, and this is all my fault.
Yeah.
But then she's like, nope. I chose to do it.
Yeah.
It's not. And so it's sort of like he put himself out there, and then she didn't really
receive it.
Well, she didn't really respond with maybe what he was hoping for, where it was like, this is your fault. Or you're right. It was because I cared so much about you.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what he wanted to hear. He's trying to reach out romantically a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think he did. I think it was more like he's really blaming himself.
Well,
he's blaming himself.
He is.
Yeah.
No, he is blaming himself. No, I agree. I think it comes from a place of he cares a lot about her, and I think what Matt's getting at, regardless of what he wanted out of that exchange, is we are starting to see a little bit of how he might be more interested in her than she might be in him in that dynamic.
I see this with the relationship. She's not going to leave him. He's going to, because he loves her so much.
He's going to push her.
He's going to push her away because he doesn't want anything bad happen to her.
Before it comes back, Nick, talk about that emasculating scene for Chuck, where he's kind of ambushed a little bit.
Oh, I'm glad we were watching the show and not at a commercial break because I was super thrilled that Chuck had to kind of suck it up and pretend that his shit didn't stink and walk out amongst the applause. Hamlin finally got his justice. He's been kind of under Chuck's thumb probably his entire career, and then he's just like, Chuck called him out and like, you're the one betraying me, and Hamlin's just like, that's bullshit. And it's the truth, and like everybody who's watching the show probably feels the same way. Chuck, you're full of shit.
You're full of shit.
And like, I don't know that he actually believed it or realized it there, but like he had a kind of a turn of face a little bit. Like he still thinks this shit doesn't stink, but
let me just say,
it's the parallels with his brother.
Right,
like,
exactly.
He's just like,
I think you're invincible.
Yeah. He's pushed like he's burning bridges, you know.
All right. I think we're good back. We'll be back later.
Whoa.
All right. Well, Ben,
There's lots of.
I just want to let you know you don't need to worry. I never cared about you all that much anyway.
It was the Fredo kiss.
You're not kissing me. Broke my heart.
That was it.
The Fredo kiss.
That was
Good Lord.
brutal.
That was brutal.
That was great though. Great writing. It's like it was just like.
It's like
you never.
The breaking of both his personal life and his mental, like his physical life, just all in one.
Well, it's also
2 minutes.
But it also shows like how he's got nothing.
He's got nothing.
What were you gonna say, Nick? Sorry.
Well, I mean, it's like kind of a recapping of the whole show because I felt like Jimmy actually did come there to genuinely check on him to see that he's okay.
Absolutely.
He's right. He's like, it is legitimate. My feelings are, I do care. It's not an act. And I feel like he's telling the truth.
Yeah.
And Chuck says, I don't care about you, and I don't think he's telling the truth because he
clearly cares.
Chuck even acknowledged that you may think you may genuinely feel that way, but you keep doing it over and over. It's sort of like a weird.
It is.
But here's
like abusive, almost like if you're not going to change, I'm not going to worry about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: there are things Chuck said that were right, but you can't ignore that. I think Jimmy had the ultimate truth, where he just stares at him and he goes, "You're going to act like you were the victim." Like, come on, that's what makes me so upset with Chuck is he took this high ground of you hurt people as if Chuck doesn't also hurt people that he's around.
If they just would go to take a breath and just both go to Blockbuster.
Yep, just go to Blockbuster.
That was a good scene.
That was a great scene.
The Mothman Prophecies.
Don't
watch it.
Can I say real quick why that's in my mind?
Okay.
It's interesting, like their storylines, how one does the, bad. There's such a hint of good in him.
Yeah.
And like he,
the other one does the good.
The thing
such
is
a bad
such
in
a
him.
bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
It doesn't. It's like it's almost like Jean Valjean and Javert. The law. He's so strict.
Right, the
everything
law.
by the law and everything else. He's just so rigid.
And he's supposed to be the good one, right?
But he's the bad one.
But he's bad,
You know what I mean?
right?
Where the one who steals a loaf of bread, and kind of makes, and doesn't do it in the straight and narrow, is a good person, but he's flawed.
Yeah, there are flaws.
And the other one can't be flawed, but he can't grasp this fact that he is flawed. That's kind of the way his story.
I get you.
Well, we see two characters. We see Kim sort of. You think she's going to revert back to her old habits and like go back into this hyper work mode, but then she recognizes what's happening. She cuts it off, and like she's sort of like
that's great
evolved a little bit. Jimmy, you think he's starting to, but like it's even pointed out to us that Chuck is like, we've been in this cycle before. What's going to be different? So I guess we'll see what happens going forward, as if that's sort of the proof of if he's changed or not. And now we get Chuck going the other way, where you think he's evolved and gotten better, and now he's going back down.
Yeah, he's regressive.
You want to know what I think? I absolutely think that we're going to see Kim get better as Jimmy gets worse, just way worse. And I think Chuck, who also got worse and regressed, is connected to Jimmy, and he got worse. He's getting sicker. And Jimmy is going to get his version of sicker, where he gets more comfortable conning people again in worse ways.
Well, it's telling that when Jimmy wasn't in his life at all, and after the courtroom, they didn't see each other until this episode. In that time was when Chuck got better, and then the second Jimmy walks in the room, is like he literally is the poison for his brother. Yeah, even though the first scene in the movie is like them kind of having that condescending, or in the movie, in this episode, is them in the tent having that brother moment, but it's still, like you said, it's still kind of like condescending, and you see the lantern screeching.
Yep, exactly. Oh,
Whew. How about them horns?
wow. We just got a look into the mind of a total insane person.
A masterpiece
That
and
was
like
awesome,
filming a descent into madness.
Yeah. Okay, I have to bring it up. I was mentioning it during the show. There's a real Edgar Allan Poe Telltale Heart metaphor thing going on there. I don't know if that's what he was. I'm not putting myself into the mind of the artist, but like that, there has to be some connect. He's digging into the walls here.
So what's he looking for?
Yeah, what is he looking for? Is it a metaphor?
It's obsession.
Yeah,
like Beautiful Mind. Remember Beautiful Mind? He thought he had that thing in his arm. He just kept digging and digging in his arm. Like he just cut himself.
Well, if we are obsessive compulsive disorder would make itself seen that way.
Definitely.
Brandon is mentioning that the sense of doom with any even remotely dangerous looking scene with a character we don't see in Breaking Bad is palpable.
Amen.
That's very true.
Brandon, that is a great point because
like even
Breaking Bad,
a minute like a small scene, like just anything could go off the rails.
Electrocuted.
Right, and it's not violent. It's never violence. It's kind of psychological.
That's what I was going to say. Is it's amazing how Breaking Bad actually had a lot more crazy stuff happen, but I was way less on edge.
Yeah,
and this one. Actually, crazy stuff really doesn't happen that often.
No,
like
we just kind of.
But I'm always waiting
for something bad to happen.
It's that comedy of errors that like cringy, like it's like, just do it differently.
Yeah,
if you did it differently, it wouldn't
it wouldn't keep happening.
It wouldn't be like it's like.
Well, even I was in the scene with Jimmy, and he was so like. He hears the words of the old ladies and like ringing true with what his brother is saying, but he also feels like he needs to be punished and like this is his fault and he needs people to acknowledge it's his fault. Yeah. Even I was thinking like the little toy train, the train in the mall, like I'm like, oh, that's going to come back. Something terrible's going to happen with that train. It seems so out of place. I'm trying to
the train.
Right? Yeah.
Maybe we'll have something with a real train or reference to him where he works at the Cinnabon.
Oh, maybe the mall.
The Cinnabon. That's a good call.
Because that's after Breaking. That's clearly after.
Well,
that's after even Breaking.
This is worth me mentioning because before I was talking about how I was able to swallow him harming the old lady because I was like, oh, this will, it'll end. And I was thinking exactly what Jimmy was going to think. Like, oh, look, this is a very short-term hurting of people.
Yep.
But we see how it wasn't.
Actions have longer consequences. All right. Last stretch.
Maybe.
That's it? Wow, they just
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I was saying, I've known Gus's motivation that whole time was to make Hector Salamanca suffer as much as possible. I did not realize the extent to which he was responsible for keeping him around to suffer, and that makes it even better.
Yeah.
Poetic justice.
It's not just that, dude. This is one of the longest torture scenes ever.
It
The
is.
entirety of Breaking Bad is a torture scene between Gus and Hector Salamanca. He wants him alive, and he refuses to let him go.
Now you know why he's willing to take himself out.
Yep.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm not going to watch Breaking Bad now.
Yeah, sorry. All every 10 million.
And you know what, though? That actually makes me feel better, because part of me, like, I've always hated Hector Salamanca. Just always hated it, even in Breaking Bad. And Gus, as evil as he was, the fact that Hector was his downfall made me be like, oh, I feel salty about that.
Yeah.
No,
Now
I liked it because I actually was like, yes.
No, I wanted to. Gus torturing Hector was my favorite thing. I was like, keep it going. I wanted to suffer as much as possible.
But Tuco is even worse.
Yeah.
Tuco.
Well, that's probably why I hated Hector, because Tuco and Hector were like connected in my
But
mind.
Gus obviously knew that Nacho was up to something.
He saw the
so
look.
I'm interested in how that's going to play out.
I am too.
Either this episode or next season, I guess. It's
Yeah,
a long
I don't
episode.
know.
Well,
Probably next season,
do you think Mike told him?
Probably.
I don't think so.
Or
I think Mike is that loyal to everybody. Like I don't think he rats out anybody.
No, he doesn't rat anybody out.
He's just as clean as Gus.
Mike has a coat of armor.
how does he
We
find
got-
out? He just knows because the guy is stupid that got the medicine
Yeah.
replacement or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a way to end it, huh?
Well, I think
it's over.
I think
They
they're coming.
gotta-
They got one more, and then it'll
One
be
more. Yeah.
one more little
segment.
scene.
Oh, this is one more thing.
We should,
Okay.
we, should have listened, we
okay.
should have listened to what the wise and mighty Chris Hardwick had to say.
Chris Hardwick is probably like, I'm going to talk about the Talk About show right after this. Right after our Talk About show.
Oh my god, it's such an exciting episode, everybody. I can't wait to talk to you in like 15 minutes.
I can't wait to talk to you in like 3 seconds after this promo is
Yeah,
cut, and then we'll just keep going.
Yeah,
Because this is not live.
I loathe that talking about TV shows is, like that it's become such a genericized, it was interesting the first time it was tried for a reason. It's like this new, refreshing way to get more out of your TV show, but they've turned it in such a formula that it's just like, talk about The Walking Dead, talk about Better Call Saul. That it's like, okay, you all worked on the show, so you have these insights that none of us have, and when you talk about it, it's different than when we talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a higher level of, you're not the viewer anymore,
Right,
really.
you're not the
Like
viewer, yeah.
the people like discussing it are. It's like watching the commentary on
Yes,
a DVD track
yes,
or something.
exactly.
Like rather than
It has its
listening
place.
to.
Not
That's why
necessarily.
TV shows lend itself to that.
We got like 10 minutes left. We're going to Jimmy after the commercial, I imagine, or what?
I think it would be Jimmy finding Chuck. I think, I don't know. That seems to be the only
resolution
outcome.
of Chuck's
Yeah,
insanity.
it's called Better Call Saul,
Yeah.
right? I think they should call it Better Call Mall because he's always in a mall.
Let's go to the mall.
God damn it.
We can't beat that, everybody. That's the high
I
point
think
of
we
the
should
night.
just go to card. We should go to card on that.
I kind of think that what's going to happen is with the start is that Jimmy is either going to show up to Chuck's and decide not to go in and just leave, or he's
All right,
all right.
happened? I wasn't paying attention.
You called it, Matt, and I think Nick did you also.
Yeah.
That was so dark.
Wow.
Take the building on fire.
Oh.
His futile, like, painstaking
He did nothing. It all unraveled.
God, jeez. And at the height of Jimmy kind of turning it around, I'm going to sacrifice myself. But again, somebody around him in his orbit crashes and burns.
Crashes and burns. But here's something I
He's
caught.
responsible for himself.
Crashes and burns.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah. It literally.
That's dark.
Can I say my line I wanted to say for Jimmy real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Like he's doing all these good things and stuff. Like, the good by being the bad guy. He's the hero that Gotham needed to be. The Dark Knight, It's really good. It's noble.
I wanted to say this about the dichotomy there, where you're like, he's coming down and he's in Jimmy's circle. Jimmy keeps hurting him or what. But it's also kind of showing that there's two paths. They were both in really dire straits, right? They both got fucked over real bad by what they did. And Jimmy kept pushing forward in like a Sisyphean way. Like, I'm going to keep rolling that boulder up that hill. And Chuck gave up. Chuck went the other. He just gave up.
Well, you know what it is. It could, and you guys may laugh at me at this. It still harkens back to the Les Mis comparison with Jean Valjean and Javert. Jimmy is Jean Valjean, and he just tries to change his whole life around. You know what I mean? And does all the good things. With his opportunity. Javert, who wanted everything to be perfect, knows everything can't be perfect, and order and law. And they both given the same opportunity, of chances and stuff.
Yeah.
One changes his whole life, the other kills himself.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a parallel.
Yeah.
So good, man. So good.
I think the real tragedy is Francesca's gone.
That is a goddamn tragedy right there.
She's going back to the motor vehicle
association,
whatever it's called.
The glamorous life.
Yeah.
Francesca and
DMV.
Francesca and Huel deserve to work for Kim Wexler. And they have to work for Jimmy. And God damn it if there isn't some poetic beauty to that.
That's that was sort of, we saw his, I didn't know if they were going to loop it back. I thought they might have just left it there, but they killed him off. It actually happened.
What a way.
But they did it in such a quiet way. Right.
What a way to do it. It's like,
okay. So this actually reminds me of the way you're talking about it. Like, we had theories. He might go, someone might die, and he's probably one of the most likely to die. It reminds me a little bit of when, spoiler alert for Dexter, if anyone hasn't seen that yet, in the season 4 arc, there's a big thing that happens at the end, and it got briefly spoiled for me, right? So, but it was so beautifully done, just like this was beautifully done, that I said, you know what? I think the friend that spoiled it, I think he actually had the wrong season. He must have had the wrong season. That's not happening. And then at the end of it, there's a major death.
Yeah.
And in this one, it was kind of like, okay, he went insane, but I guess he's going to survive this episode. And then in the last scene, they come back, and it's like, nope.
Well, ultimately, for Mike McKeon, for Chuck, his descent was both the return of Jimmy, but almost more so the straw that broke the camel's back for him was his total separation from law. The thing that made him who he thought he was. Like, this is what defines me, not Jimmy, not anything. The law. Once that happened, it was a drastic fall.
Well,
straight down.
They set us up for that when he was talking to his therapist.
Right.
It's like, I have all these goals, and this is the plan. And she's like, okay, but taper those expectations a little bit. But he's like, yeah. Like, notice how most people will be like, I'm going to be out with my family again and be social. And then, no. And I remember he said with friends and stuff, but he never mentioned
no, he wants to have a dinner party and
all these friends. And
I love the foreshadowing of the lamp.
Yeah,
like you guys call it.
Yeah,
foreshadowing of the lamp at the very beginning.
Yeah, Nick called that with the lantern, and that came right back.
They were focusing in on it in the beginning, and they were pulling out kind of from it at the end.
Yeah.
And so, I'm interested. I'm curious, if we'll ever know, what made him start freaking out in the first place.
Right.
like what motivated
his conscience. You think?
I think it's the telltale hard conscience thing.
The cause of his this episode or just in general?
In general, and then like I think you could make allusions to like why he spiraled down in this episode, but
I think what I was saying, I think it's because of his career.
Yeah,
I think it's all like career. I guess originally it was
divorce.
Yeah,
divorce.
It was that,
and he tied it to that in the courtroom,
right?
So
Jimmy.
So basically, it was what's his name?
Loss of control.
Back at him.
Yeah. Loss of control. Yeah.
Loss of control. Yeah, that's
loss of sense of self, and I don't think he really like identified who he was versus Jimmy at any point in his life.
Yeah, and that's why he was allowed to say. Well, that's why he was allowed to say, "I never really care about you," because he identified himself through his marriage and the law, and both of those things were stripped from him. Mm-hmm. But Jimmy being gone was just he's focused. That was the part, though. I struggle back and forth on this. Like, yeah, he didn't care about Jimmy in that sense, but I'm just like, if he didn't care about Jimmy, I think I'm calling him on his shit. I think he did because God, he focused a lot of his energy in bringing him down. Like
he cared to hate him so much.
Well, he cared to hate him, but that's rooted in some caring. Like
it's interesting because that conversation that they had with each other, like we do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
We talk to each other, and then like finally he ended the
cycle.
Yeah, the cycle.
Yeah,
literally and figuratively.
Yeah. He took control.
But if Jimmy was never around, he probably would have committed suicide years before.
Yeah,
Jimmy was the one who always kept him alive, and I think he released. It kind of was like the symbolic releasing.
Well, you know what?
Of you know what?
The responsibility.
The only reason I'm living because of you. You know what I mean?
And you know what though? It's interesting. I wonder if details, Nick. I think you were alluding to this at one point. That we're gonna later in the next season, get some details that might jump back to when he was still alive and what happened. Yeah. What transpired to make it to where we are in the show. And I think one of the details that might come out is that there were other suicidal tendencies because have you noticed, I just picked up on this, how many times Jimmy has to come screaming at his door, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
It's almost like he's
proof
scared.
of life.
Right.
Yeah.
And obviously this time he's saying proof of life because it was such a drastic thing with HHM. But he's done it before.
Well, but it hinted at, in this case, and maybe Jimmy didn't bring it up.
Yeah.
He brought it up unprovoked.
Right.
Like, are you here for proof of life? Almost as if like the thought was in his head, like he needs to think I'm alive.
Well, Jimmy was screaming like, "I just need to see your face."
That's true.
So it could, but you're right. I mean, they both knew they were alluding to suicide.
In retrospect, with that line and the lantern at the beginning, it's obvious that he's going to die by lantern by the end of the episode.
But yet we just have always a doubt either way.
I know.
That's how good the storytelling.
He is great at that. You're right. We always have a doubt one way or the other.
Yeah, one way or the other.
So, in talking about, obviously his character's gone, but I do think there's opportunities even in the next seasons to flash back to like I don't think Chuck is necessarily completely out of the series from like appearing. What do you guys think is gonna what directions do you think are gonna take in season 4?
I think we're gonna I think it's gonna try and move forward rapidly into the future as we start to. I think the train is picking up speed towards him becoming Saul, right? So we're gonna move rapidly towards the future. And we're going to get a lot of glimpses of the past. And I feel like there's going to be a back and forth.
So you think they'll jump ahead and then do more flashbacks to like fill in pieces if you needed it?
Exactly.
How do we know 100% that he died in the fire?
And he could survive.
Right? There's that too. Like we all think he's going to die. Maybe he's just burned so bad it's like he dies later.
That's true. Well, that would go hand in hand with Hector. We all know he's not dead, but
I'm pretty sure he died in the fire.
What?
I know.
Like there was the phone that had probably no electricity. That towards the end he's like, he's not leaving that house.
I
like
know. You can't call
kicking
for help.
the fire. Maybe he's like gonna feel the fire and run screaming out of the house.
It's the smoke inhalation that gets you. He's dead. Yeah, it's
interesting. Like it's interesting he's not going to run. He got to the point he just didn't want to run. So I mean, he could have just thrown it, right?
But
he's kicking it.
He was so insane that
he lost everything. Like him, I feel like when he said, "I never really cared about you," that's like that's ending.
That was the release of it.
He lost Jimmy.
Yeah.
He lost his job. He had already lost his wife, and I guess maybe you guys are right. That's probably where he started freaking out.
Yeah.
He can't lose.
Yeah.
He just
Yeah,
can't.
he wants to win. He has to be right all the time.
It doesn't
This
get
show
lower than this.
says if this show says anything though, that nobody ever really wins.
Yeah,
ever.
that's true.
So
Not in
we'll
this
see
universe.
how. I mean, Jimmy's got to start all over.
Yeah.
So does Kim to some regard.
Yeah.
But she's taking it good. She's actually taking it good. I thought
But she still has
Well,
to
she thinks Jimmy has the Sandpiper money, and he just kind of
He
shot
just
that
gave
in
it
the
away.
air.
So
they've lost everything.
Yeah, I mean, they know that they don't have any money anymore.
Yeah.
They don't have the building. They don't have Francesca. They don't have the clients necessarily.
But they
He
love
gave
each other.
up. Yeah, so
Yeah. Hey, but the kiss at the end, I think, was wonderful.
It's telling.
I love that though, because they have each other is a great line
It's a
for
good
that. And we
relationship.
were wondering, Nick pointed out, we were all wondering, like, how are they romantically involved anymore? How's that relationship doing? So to give us that comfort of like, okay,
Well, she's gone, so we know in a season or two he's got to fuck that up. Somehow.
yeah, he'll fuck that up.
Well,
So-
maybe he does the same thing. Maybe he does the same thing with the old ladies, where it's like he knows he's doing so much harm that he wants to push her away.
Push her away.
So that
I think
he
you're right
loves
on
her
that,
so
too.
much because he's that noble guy. He's the hero that he's Batman. He's
He
the
is.
hero that got
Yeah, he'll make everyone hate him to make everything better.
because he loves
So
her.
who have we've seen most likely the last of Chuck, unless he comes out like from his character going forward.
Yeah.
We've probably seen the last of Howard, right?
Yep.
We probably won't see him.
Well, he'll come in lightly to like maybe muck things up every now and then. Like
I don't know what he.
Sandpiper has to be out
You
there.
could
still.
you could have
guess,
some sort
yeah.
of like next of kin storyline where maybe
Oh,
Jimmy
yeah,
is,
who's
like,
getting
the
all
next
here
of
the money?
kin and Howard's
Yeah.
gone. Like,
You know what,
that's
though?
weird. but-
Yeah,
You know what?
that
Howard-
seems like the technical detail
But
that they
Howard-
would actually go into.
Howard's too good of a character. I feel like.
No,
to just get
here's the
rid of him.
deal. All that makes me go back. Jimmy's not going to get anything because you'll find on the will
Right.
that
Something's
Jimmy's
gonna
not
be
good.
awful. Yeah.
He hates his brother. He
Right,
hates him so
right.
much.
Yeah. There's going to be something about all that money that Chuck is owed that.
I think
and also his estate.
we see the team up of which we didn't even see in this episode, Mike and Gus.
That'll happen.
But we still have sort of like a. Is Gus on to Nacho? Is he
Right.
gonna? Were they in cahoots the whole time?
Right.
Potentially because
Maybe.
of Mike
Yep.
tipping
Because
him
Mike
off.
tipping him off, that you need to be careful.
Is, so what? We still don't really know what's going to happen with
Here's the
Nacho.
thing about Gus.
Yeah.
He knows things that he's not telling Mike.
Right.
And he obviously
Gus is-
he was monitoring Mike.
Yeah.
So maybe he has surveillance on Mike, so
Yeah.
he knows
Gus is
kind of
master.
what's up.
Like if he had surveillance on Mike, it's a logical step that he has surveillance on all of
Everyone.
Hector's guys.
You're right too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he probably knows about
Yeah.
the pills. He
Yeah.
probably knows about it. You know,
Yeah.
because he looked at it.
Yeah.
He looked at it and looked at him, so he knows.
So I would expect we get the full Saul Goodman treatment almost immediate for most of the season, and his he sets up his business like a real business.
Yes.
Maybe we even get into that office building
I
for
hope
once
so.
and bring Kuehl in and. I feel like that's where the next season is ultimately going, with Kim probably being the casualty at the end of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you.
Die or like there's
No, just
I think you're right that he'll have
casualty
to push her
from
away.
like just her life falls apart
Right.
and she has to move on from
He'll
Jimmy.
have to push her away.
He'll push her away. That kind of is true to his character.
That is true to his
because
character.
he's actually that good of a person.
I feel
that
like
he doesn't take he pushes people away because he loves them so much because he knows it's like he's Batman.
Yeah.
You know, he's Batman.
I feel like they've lost a lot of things. I don't think he's getting any of the Sandpiper money or whatever. I feel like the ultimate tragedy would be for Kim to go down the Jimmy McGill slipping Jimmy path and they start scamming people.
That would be
and
a
then
tragedy.
she just falls into becoming a scumbag like Jimmy,
Right.
and then somehow that splits them apart.
Maybe she ends up hating herself for it, and then
or just she becomes.
That's one route.
So, and how do you think? So, Brandon brought up. So that's sort of like, how does she transition into Jimmy's life from this? But how does Jimmy transition after the death of Chuck?
That's
like, what
true.
does he actually do?
What does he do?
How does he respond? I feel like it's just. I feel like the logical step would be dealing with all of the, in some regards, the minutia, but also like the paperwork and all that stuff in terms of his death, but also looking at the successes and going back to like this was his brother,
Right.
and letting that color his. I feel like there's an opportunity for him to either go, well, this was my brother, and I'm going to take from his example and go in this path. But I think it's going to further solidify almost immediately once we start season 4 how shitty the world is in his mind and how unfair it can be and how he has to like push forward down the Saul path. I think that's where it's going.
Yeah. Well, I really hope that you're right about seeing a lot more of Saul and Saul's business, because as much as I do truly love where this show is and the character development and everything, when this show was first announced as happening, I was hoping to see a little more of Saul taking on different criminals. I thought there was so much potential in him interacting with criminals.
Well, and we were talking before that, like, where it almost feels like these plot lines are, it was kind of overstuffed.
Well, he's still alive.
Oh, he's alive.
Oh, never mind.
Like, how are they? It seemed like there was a little too much. They'd added a little too much was going on. Yeah. How are they going to like cut some people off? And they've done that now. And they've let's say Howard's in maybe an episode or 2. Right. Let's say Nacho, for whatever reason, is gone. Let's say Hector is severely cut off a little bit from his influence. Right. That allows room for new characters.
Yes.
Or cameos from Breaking Bad to fill in now.
We don't just want to see Saul establish his business. We want to see his business start to get in ties with the meth world that will eventually bring the Breaking Bad. I mean, because that's where it'll end.
I feel like if I'm just thinking about Jimmy's character, like how he would respond to Chuck's death would be through a lot of like self-blame and probably anger in some way towards HHM.
Yeah,
like you can see him wanting to go after HHM in some way.
I could see that
to like because he's gonna think like he's gonna blame himself, but he's also gonna blame them for like taking away the last bastion of
I also
Chuck.
think they're gonna blame him too.
Yeah,
they're gonna blame him. Yeah,
so I could see like a little bit of an arc where
there could be some anger
he's like self-loathing and going after HHM.
But if you think about it, that money they're paying him off. Yeah, it's $9 million, right?
Yep.
Like that money's going somewhere.
So, yeah. And legally they're bound to his estate.
Maybe his wife is going to his ex-wife is going to come in for a couple more episodes.
Maybe try and collect that stuff.
Maybe she'll blame.
Yeah. Here's what I think though. I think we're not talking enough about how Jimmy got so verbally assaulted by his brother there. That was the most soul-crushing night.
Yeah, that's the highlight of the episode.
Right.
In addition, that and then the aftermath for Chuck. The second he said that on
But at this point, Jimmy only is seething in those last words. You know what I mean? So when he finds out he's dead, I'm almost envisioning a Jimmy that's like, good riddance.
Yeah.
You know
that's
what I mean?
I could see that too.
Yeah, good riddance.
He still went and checked on Chuck, and then he made up with those old ladies, basically giving away
a lot of money,
over $1 million. Even when he went out and like shook hands with the lawyer girl, Aaron or whatever, and was like, "Thanks for helping me set myself up." Yeah, like she was holding a briefcase, and I was like, "Is she gonna hand him a briefcase full of money?"
Yeah,
and like that's just how she got him to shut up. Like I was kind of like, "Is he good? Is he bad?" Like they're constantly towing that line, but like
he's good.
He was good. At the end of the day, he gave all that away to just make these old ladies happy.
He took his brother's word.
I don't think he's legitimately going to be like, fuck Chuck. Like, if he's
hashtag fuck Chuck.
Yeah,
fuck Chuck.
If he's legitimately going to give away $1 million to make an old lady happy.
Yeah, but Nick, how many times is Chuck gonna? I mean, Chuck severely hurt him with the recording emotionally. As I'm talking,
that's why it's such a sad story that he becomes Saul Goodman and goes down the path that he goes because, like, at the end of the day, he is. Good.
He's a good human being. I've always thought so.
I don't know.
When seeing the old ladies made me really sad. Like that, those relationships destroyed for a second there made me really sad, and it's because the whole time I was reading into Jimmy's perspective that it's like I can do this little meanness because it'll be fine, but the fact that he sacrificed everything to make it right again is like.
Well, and what was interesting was that scene right before that we were talking about with the two movies of like, it's either Gregory Peck and
Monty Python
or Monty Python, and he doesn't go with the true and honest lawyer route. He goes with Monty Python, and he actually makes things right by doing an elaborate con, which is he sticks true to himself to make things right. So that's just who he is.
Something in our society that was unspeakable.
Oh yeah, are you going to propose to Kim Wexler? That was our other.
I would love to propose to Kim Wexler.
Sorry, the actress's name is Ray Seahorn. So if you're out there, look into the camera.
Her name is Ray.
No,
Ray
she's
Seahorn.
Oh, you're out because of her first name. I'm done here.
She's not Indian enough for me.
Yeah.
But no, I will tell you, I think what's funny about that is there was the beautiful metaphor, and I do love this. He's done this a couple times where there's two things that hammer it home, and one is beautiful and one is crude. And he's done that a couple times where it's like he knows where the beauty lies and he can still have some fun with it. And it's those two movies, absolutely parallel things, and he chose one. There's also the cheese into cheese.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious to me because that's where she gets to say the crucial line, play to your strengths.
Yep.
And that's, it's a mixture of the
it's kind of telegraphed. Yeah.
But they're basically working to the same end, and there's a beautiful one and a crude one.
Well, but it also goes to her influence on him, just in general, of like he still doesn't know who he really is or what his. It's almost like now that Chuck's gone, he doesn't feel like he needs to compete with him and be a lawyer also, and so now it's. Like, play to your strengths, dude.
Right.
I'm Kim. I know you the best, and so I'm gonna do Monty Python. And
that's it. Think about it's new. He shared a lot with Kim. Like Kim was actually super looped in this time.
Yeah.
And then traditionally he's been hiding her from all his cons, right? Mm-hmm. She was super looped into this.
Well,
I was actually surprised.
He saw her what everything did. He's like, I'm gonna be
forthcoming. Right. I'm gonna be forthcoming now. So he told her everything he did with those old ladies, and here she is trying to help him make it right.
Which makes all the more likely the irreparable pain that is going to come in season 4 between the two of them.
Yeah, usually I think the pain's going to come in season 4, but I think I think they'll reunite the very, very, very.
Kim Wexler is too good for this world.
And she's like, I love you some cinema.
All right. Any other final thoughts? She shows up in the flash forward in black and white.
No, the very end of the show is going to be present time.
And she's got a husband and
she's got a husband.
Kids,
she comes to order some Cinnabon, and he's going to have to look her in the eye.
That's brutal.
Oh my god, that would be.
I think it's just going to be he's a sad sack and he's living a sad life, and they're just going to fade to black, and he's Gene and has a miserable life living his past forever.
And he's got a heart attack.
And the cinematography is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
He's just going to be miserable.
Guys alone.
Well, until season 4 next year.
Salute.
Thanks for keeping with us.
Wait a minute. Keep it in tradition. If it loads, no. Load.
That was supposed to happen at 9:50.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Play us.
We're gonna fade out. All right. Thanks, everybody.